All right, what's going on, guys? So in this video, I'm gonna be taking you through a full day of maingaining, which is what I'm doing at the moment. Now, if you haven't heard that term before, I just like to think of it as a type of recomp where your goal is to roughly maintain your body weight while gaining strength in the gym and ideally gaining a little muscle mass as well. And for me, that usually comes toward the end of an extended bulk before starting a cut. And I think that a period of maingaining like this can be a really good transition phase out of a bulk because it gives you an opportunity to really dial in your training while setting up some good, consistent nutrition habits before hopping into a full-blown fat loss phase. Now, of course, you can always just ride the maingain or the recomp wave as long as it's working for you. You don't need to cut unless you really want to prioritize fat loss at some point. Now, you might end up tightening up a bit at the beginning of a maingaining phase anyway, because oftentimes I find that just being more intentional with your nutrition will result in some water loss and maybe a little fat loss, but then you'll settle into this weight that you can just maintain as you gain strength and ideally muscle in the gym. Now, of course, how feasible the gain muscle part is will depend on how close you are to your genetic ceiling, but I would say that most people should expect to see some lean gains during a maingaining phase, assuming your training is on point and assuming you aren't trying to maintain too lean of a physique. Now, on that note, I should say that I originally heard the maingaining term from the Team 3DMJ guys 9 or 10 years ago. I think I first heard it from Alberto Nunez, and these transition phases were used in natural bodybuilding so competitors could eke out a little more lean gains toward the end of an off season without accruing excessive body fat. Now, I know some people have started using maingaining to describe a situation where you maintain this very shredded physique while also making simultaneous muscle gains, but that's not how it was originally used, and I don't think that's the best way to think about it. I think maingaining works a lot better at a moderate to slightly higher body fat percentage in the 12 to 20% zone as a male or the 20 to 30% zone as a female. And that's because you actually have enough body fat to fuel that energetically expensive muscle building process. So to set this up properly, you want to place your calories at around maintenance intake, so what you'd need to maintain your body weight, eat relatively high protein, and really focus on progressing with your training. Okay, so for me, I've been pretty much bulking through the whole pandemic. I went from about 160 pounds to just over 180 pounds, and now I'm doing this maingaining phase for a few months before hopping into a formal fat loss phase. And these will be my macros for the day, so about 3,000 calories, 200 grams of protein, 90 grams of fat, and 350 grams of carbs. These macros are obviously unique to me, my metabolism, my activity habits, and so on, and so I wouldn't copy them exactly, but just so you know, I set my protein up at 1.1 grams of protein per pound of body weight, or 2.4 grams per kilo, and that's just because I have found that being on slightly higher protein is a bit better for recomp. However, you probably don't need that much protein, and around 0.7 to 1 gram per pound, or 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo does seem to be plenty for maximizing muscle growth, according to the best science. And then I usually set my fats at something around 20 to 25% of total calories and fill in the rest with carbs. I'm also using the Macro Factor app to set all this up, which I really think is the new gold standard as far as nutrition apps go. I've personally seen the app's development since before the beta version, and I've been using it ever since that first release. So if you'd like to try it out for yourself, you can use it for 2 weeks for free if you go to the first link in the description box down below and use code Jeff after you download. That'll help support me and the work that I'm doing here on the channel. So thanks to Macro Factor for supporting the video, and I'll have a little more info about that at the end. All right, let's get started with the first meal. All right, so guys, here we have got meal one of the day. This is a breakfast potato hash, and in there I've got a whole bunch of different ingredients. I'm gonna quickly take you guys through how it is that I make this. So first I'll dice up 4 or 5 mixed baby potatoes into cubes, coat them with some olive oil spray, or just drizzle a little bit of actual olive oil. I'll season them with some ground cumin, salt, and parsley, and then I'll put them in the microwave for about 3 minutes. While the potatoes are pre-cooking, I'll slice up some onion and mushrooms and press or chop 1 clove of garlic and fry that up in a non-stick pan. Once they cook a bit, I'll add some meat. So I use turkey bacon and Beyond Meat vegan sausage, which adds a really good flavor. Then I'll add some diced red peppers and green peppers, and once the peppers start to soften a bit, I'll move that mix to a separate bowl and then add the potatoes so that the edges crisp and brown a bit. See that? And then I'll add the veggies back in and mix in 2 whole eggs with 2 egg whites scrambled with a drop of milk, and then I'll just mix all that together. Now, I'm personally a big fan of goat cheese, but if you don't like goat cheese, then you can easily just use some shredded cheese or no cheese at all if you want it to be a little lower fat. And then to go with this meal, I've got my supplements and a Sun Gold kiwi. So for the supplements, I've got my creatine, I've got a multivitamin, and some fish oils. And these are the macros for that meal. So 42 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, and 40 grams of carbs. So I'm gonna enjoy this, and I will check in with you guys for meal number 2. Yeah, I'm gonna get the ingredients ready for meal 2, so just put it in a Tupperware. So I kind of have this meal ready to go. So there's virtually no prep for this meal. I just use minute rice. You could obviously like pre-cook the rice yourself, but I just find this to be a little bit more convenient. Put that in there for a minute, and then I'm gonna weigh out 100 grams of ground turkey. I actually cooked this up yesterday. So I'll just weigh out 100 grams of this cooked. Good enough. Usually I have a decent helping of sour cream, like that's probably more like three tablespoons. 30 grams of shredded cheese. If I was dieting, I'd probably go for a slightly lower fat cheese option, but my fats are fairly high, so I'll just go with the tastier full fat version for now. And then on top of that, I will add my sriracha, which I love sriracha, so I kind of go crazy with this. Yeah. And then I'll just mash all that together. And then for the side, I've got some mixed berries. So over here we've got blackberries, raspberries, and underneath there are some blueberries. So there's about 100 grams of mixed berries, and this is 100 grams of cantaloupe. It is a excellent source of vitamin A and also vitamin C. So that's gonna be the pre-workout meal. I'll eat this, and then in about a half an hour, I will have my pre-workout, and then I'll train about a half an hour from there. So this will be about 1 hour out, and I will put the macros for this meal up here on the screen so you guys can see it. So we've got 56 grams of protein, 22 grams of fat, and 83 grams of carbs. So just real quick, what I try to do is kind of roughly evenly space my protein out throughout the day. Try to make sure I've got about 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight. So I'm like about 80 kilos now, so I'll try to have like at least 80 grams of carbs in the pre-workout meal. As for fats, 22 grams is like slightly on the higher side, but I personally would rather train with more of a full stomach than an empty one. That's kind of more of a personal preference thing. But yeah, gonna eat this, and I'll check in with you guys for the workout in a little bit. Let's run that back. Thinking that was a little crooked. Okay, here we go. Alley-oop. That's when you find out you got your 10 reps. Who wrote this program? Who did? You did. What's my max again?
Come on.
Not bad at all. Woo! That's actually easier than expected. Just finished up the set of 10 with 350. Normally I'll leave this a little bit, but I feel like I could use a little bit of Gatorade right now, so I'll kind of just sip on one of these throughout the workout. It isn't an exact science or anything. Just my workouts tend to take usually an hour and a half, sometimes longer, depending on how much I'm taking my time. So this is 23 grams of carbs. Just meant to be kind of a fast supply of energy. Because I bracket my workout with a protein source, I don't really worry about intra-workout aminos or anything like that, especially when my calories are at maintenance or in a surplus. Gonna finish out the workout and check in with you guys post-workout. All right, so guys, we just finished up that workout. That was a full body workout from my Power Building 2.0 program. I know a lot of you guys are running that. Power Building 3.0, I actually just finished writing that last night, and that's gonna be shipped off to the designer probably tomorrow. So anyway, I'm still on target to have that released the end of this month, at the latest the first week of February. I'm a little bit behind on my training because I filmed this pretty crazy mini documentary with Rise, and that literally took 2 weeks out of like my scheduled programming. So I'm having to like adjust things a little bit. I'm gonna kind of jump ahead in PB2. But anyway, after a workout, I usually don't have too much of an appetite right away. It usually takes like at least an hour or two for me to feel like I want to eat. So to remedy that, I basically just have a protein shake after I train. So I'll usually mix up some select protein with some milk, and then I also have a piece of fruit. So just have one of these bananas. And this is a whey casein blend. Obviously you don't have to go with PE Science. I'm sponsored by them, so I get this stuff for free, but I do think a whey casein blend is a really good option post-workout. You get the fast digesting protein from the whey, and then you get a more sustained release from the casein. So this is what I go with. Tastes really good. Mint cookie flavor is great.
That's how you get a stomach ache.
Okay, now I'm full. I actually did not expect it to be that much liquid.
And the banana?
Yeah, I'm not going to eat this on camera. And so these are the macros for this meal, if you also include the Gatorade that I had intro workout. So 34 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, and 67 grams of carbs. So this is meal number 4, so like my first pretty much solid whole food post-workout meal. So we've got this burrito with, you can see inside, there's a lot in there, and it's a pretty beefy burrito. I'm just gonna take you guys through how it is that I prepared this here real quick. So there's pretty much an easy way and a slightly harder way to do this. The easiest way is to just cook the chicken in an air fryer. If you want it to taste a little bit better, you can marinate the chicken first. For the marinade, I mixed together half a tablespoon of olive oil, the juice from half a lime, about half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of chili powder, about half a teaspoon of garlic powder, quarter teaspoon of cumin, and a little sprinkle of oregano. Then I butterfly some fresh chicken so the meat is really thin, and add that to the marinade, cover that, and let it sit for about an hour. So in that time, I'll just do a little bit of work or start to prep the veggies. Then I'll pan fry up the chicken in a non-stick pan so you get this nice crisp outer edge from the spices and the marinade. For the veggies, I'll chop up some onion, green pepper, and red pepper, and then add that to the marinade to give the veggies some flavor. And then once the chicken's done cooking, I'll add the vegetables to the pan and then let them cook for a few minutes until the peppers start to soften a bit. And as long as the liquid all comes to a boil, it'll be safe to use the same marinade from the chicken. Then from there, it's just a matter of filling the burrito. So you wanna get pretty much the biggest burrito tortilla that you can find. And then I'll add chicken, vegetables, some black beans, a little bit of rice, a little bit of cheddar cheese, some guacamole, and salsa. And then you just roll up the burrito, which is actually harder than it looks. Once it's rolled, throw it back on the pan to toast the ends, and then you're good to go. And then that takes me to this point here, where we just slice the burrito. So I'll eat this, dip it in a little bit of sour cream. And then the thing about main gaining or lean bulking is you tend to have some ingredients left over for your burrito. So whatever rice I have left over and whatever peppers I have left over, I'll kind of just like mix that together and then eat that separately after I eat the burrito. So the macros for this meal are 48 grams of protein, 24 grams of fat, and 93 grams of carbs. So this is my highest carb meal of the day. And then as an alternate meal, sometimes what I'll have is my mom's best chili, which a couple years ago, I think it was a couple years ago, I did a full day of eating and showed you guys this. So I actually have the recipe here. I don't know if I shared that last time or not, but I know a ton of people still like every day email me asking me for that recipe. So I'm gonna link the recipe to my mom's chili down below. That's another like really high fiber, really satiating like, dinner type meal that I'll have pretty often. As for me, I'm gonna enjoy the burrito and check in with you guys for the last meal in a little bit. All right, last meal of the day. For this, we're doing a Greek yogurt concoction. So I'm gonna add peanut butter, honey, and Greek yogurt and Splenda. So we are doing 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt, which has 16 grams of protein. In general, dairy is usually a pretty good option before bed because it tends to be really slow digesting because of the casein protein. Greek yogurt or cottage cheese are usually good options. If you don't like dairy or if you don't eat dairy for whatever reason, you can make any type of protein more slow digesting by just increasing the fat or fiber content of the meal. If you want to add like some nuts, or I'll be having popcorn with this meal, that'll help slow the rate of stomach emptying and help give you like a more sustained supply of amino acids through the night. Of course, like your daily protein intake in total is going to be the most important thing, but if you're looking to kind of optimize, I do think that pre-bed protein is a good opportunity to kind of make sure that you're not risking any muscle loss through the night. I had about a tablespoon, but I kind of just ballpark this. I don't really measure that out. I do like 3/4 of a packet of Splenda. I don't like it to be too sweet. I'm gonna weigh this just so you guys know. So like 1 tablespoon of peanut butter is 15 grams. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm gonna have a tablespoon of peanut butter. Like a tablespoon of peanut butter is probably more like that, I'm gonna guess, you know? So like, it's not like an enormous amount. This might even be more than 15 grams. So let's see, that is, oh. This is a pretty easy way to get like a pretty high volume of food, something good to snack on. Throw this in the microwave, and that'll be the last meal. And then I will usually just kind of mix all that together like that and eat this while I watch a show or something. So the macros are 25 grams of protein, 17 grams of fat, and 63 grams of carbs to finish off the full day of eating. One thing I was gonna say, like, just for the sake of being flexible, like I offered some different alternatives. Sometimes what I'll do during the week is I'll just kind of combine the macros from, say, meal 4 and meal 5, and I'll order in some sushi or I'll order some Thai food. I'm not super strict with my tracking targets, but I do try to get in the right ballpark, and I won't track every single day, but on the days that I do track, I do use Macro Factor. So if you guys are interested, I'll have a little more information about that now. If not, I will see you guys in the next video. All right, so before we wrap it up, I want to tell you guys a little bit more about the Macro Factor app. So since this is a video about main gaining, I figured I'd just show you guys how you'd set up a main gaining phase as a recomp goal by simply setting your goal weight as your current weight, or a bit lower if you want to tighten up a bit at the start. Then the app uses a dynamic maintenance, meaning if your weight trend gets too far above your maintenance zone, it'll automatically adjust your macros down a bit, or if you get too far below the target zone, it'll bump you up into a surplus. I think the thing that I like the most about the app is that it does a really good job at distilling all the best evidence-based recommendations down, so you don't need to worry about calculating and adjusting your macros all the time. Obviously, your caloric needs change as you gain or lose weight, as your activity levels change, and as your metabolism and NEAT levels adapt. Now, you could track everything and make those adjustments yourself, or you could hire a nutrition coach to help you, but Macro Factor will do it all for you at a fraction of the cost of a nutrition coach. And unlike most apps, you don't have to stick perfectly to the app's recommendations for it to still make the proper adjustments. It also has some other really cool features like a super fast barcode scanner that auto-populates the macros for you, and it also accurately reports micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, which is nice to take a look at from time to time. Like I said earlier, I do think this is the best premium nutrition app out there, and it's constantly improving. So if you'd like to try it out for free for the next 2 weeks, just click the first link in the description box down below and use code Jeff. Thanks again to Macro Factor for showing their support here on the channel. I really appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all here in the next one.